I'll never forget the night it all went down. And honestly, even now when I think about it, my chest gets tight like I'm back there again. It started so small, so ordinary. My wife, Emily, was laughing at some silly sitcom rerun, something about the neighbor's dog, and then in the space of a breath her laughter cut off and she let out this horrible, short gasp. She clutched her chest, her face went pale, and she crumpled right onto the carpet in front of me. It was like the air in the room got sucked out. 1 second I was chuckling with her, and the next my hands were shaking so badly I could barely dial 911. The operator picked up, calm and steady, walking me through compressions and breathing, telling me help was on the way. I was kneeling there pressing down on Emily's chest, whispering her name, promising her it was going to be okay, even though I wasn't sure if I believed it myself. And then I heard tires on gravel outside. This rush of relief came over me. I thought, thank God the ambulance is here. But when I looked up through the blinds, it wasn't flashing red or blue. It was the pale yellow beams of the neighborhood security trucks, the HOA's private patrol. Now, our homeowners association, let's just say they've always had a reputation for being overzealous. You know the type. They measure your grass with a ruler. They send warnings if your mailbox paint looks dull. But never in my wildest dreams did I think they'd be the first ones on the scene during a medical emergency. 3 of them marched up the walkway in matching jackets like they were soldiers, radios buzzing on their belts. The tallest guy, thick mustache, sharp little eyes, just pushed into my house without so much as a knock and barked, "Sir, your gate was left open. That's a violation." I thought I misheard him. My wife was lying on the floor gasping for air and this guy was talking about the damn gate. I pointed at her, my voice breaking. "She can't breathe. I called 911, they're on their way." But instead of moving to help, he raised his hand like he was the sheriff around here. "You're causing a disturbance," he said. "Emergencies must be reported to us first. It's in the bylaws." Can you believe that? My wife was slipping away and this man was quoting bylaws. The operator in my ear was urging me to keep pressing, keep counting. My knees were killing me on the hardwood, but I didn't stop. Meanwhile, the HOA goons muttered to each other. One of them actually blocked the doorway when I heard sirens approaching in the distance. And when the paramedics finally pulled up, hauling their gear with that urgency you only see when lives are on the line, Mustache Man crossed his arms in the doorway and declared, "This property is under HOA jurisdiction. You'll need clearance to enter." That was the moment something snapped inside me. I stood up, still trembling, still terrified, but furious in a way I'd never felt before. I told him, "You're not stopping them." He leaned forward, eyes hard, and said if I interfered, he'd place me under arrest. Arrest. For trying to save my wife. The paramedics tried to push through, but he threw an arm out like some kind of human barrier. And I thought, this isn't about Emily anymore. This is about power. This man wanted control more than he cared about a human life. Emily's body jerked suddenly, a cough ripping from her throat, and even the HOA guys flinched for a second. The paramedics seized that moment, ducked around the blockade, and dropped to her side with the oxygen mask. The hiss of air filled the room, and for the first time I felt a spark of hope. But then more HOA officers showed up, scribbling notes, acting like this was some crime scene. One muttered, "Document everything." I couldn't hold it in. "She's dying, not violating landscaping codes," I shouted. The mustached officer got in my face, his breath sharp with mint. "You're undermining order," he said. "This community depends on rules." And I shot back, "Order means nothing if it kills people." His jaw twitched. His hand hovered near his radio like he was going to call for backup, and for a second I thought he'd really do it. If they dragged me away, Emily would be alone, and the thought nearly broke me. So I leaned close and whispered, "If she doesn't make it because of you, this neighborhood will never forgive you, and neither will I." Right then, more sirens wailed outside. This time it was the sheriff's cruiser. Red and blue lights cut through the yellow beams washing over the cul-de-sac. Neighbors peeked through curtains, watching this mess unfold like it was some twisted reality show. The HOA stiffened, suddenly less confident. 2 deputies strode up, hands resting near their belts, eyes scanning the scene. One was a tall woman with eyes so sharp they could slice steel. She took one look at Emily on the floor, the paramedics, working frantically, then turned that gaze on the HOA blockade. "What's going on here?" she demanded. Mustache cleared his throat and puffed up like he was in charge. "This resident failed to comply with HOA notification procedures. These..." Medics attempted unauthorized entry. The deputy's eyebrow shot up so high I thought it might fly off her forehead. "Unauthorized entry? They're saving a life." His voice cracked as he tried to double down. "Without rules, everything collapses." But she cut him off, cold. "Sir, if you obstruct emergency personnel again, I'll arrest you myself." And just like that, he deflated, lowering his arm. The paramedics barely looked up, too busy stabilizing Emily. I heard one of them murmur, "Pulse stabilizing," and I nearly collapsed from relief. The deputies turned to me, asked if I wanted to ride with her. Of course I said yes, clutching her hand like a lifeline. But before we rolled out, another HOA officer called after me. "This isn't over. The board will hear about this defiance." Even then, as Emily fought for her life, they were talking about punishment. Emily made it to the hospital. Tubes, wires, the whole terrifying setup. But she was alive. That was all that mattered in that first night. But by morning, taped to my front door was a crisp envelope with the HOA's logo, accusing us of disrupting the community and fining us $500. $500 for calling 911 while my wife was dying. I crumpled that letter so hard it tore. But rage alone wasn't enough. That night I started gathering evidence. I called the paramedics. They remembered every detail. I called the deputies. They were furious about the obstruction. Even the 911 operator had documented the call. Piece by piece, I built a case. But the HOA wasn't sitting still. They spread flyers in mailboxes painting us as reckless, undermining safety, destabilizing the community. Some neighbors looked at me with pity. Others avoided eye contact like I carried a disease. Emily, still, weak in her hospital bed, squeezed my hand and whispered, "Don't let them win." Her voice was soft, but the fire in her eyes lit something in me. So when the HOA announced an emergency meeting, I showed up. The clubhouse was packed, neighbors murmuring like bees, everyone waiting for drama. At the front sat Mustache with a gavel in hand, pretending he was judge, jury, and executioner. He banged it down and announced they'd be addressing misconduct. My misconduct. I stood. The room went quiet, and I said, "No. The only misconduct that night was committed by the people who swore to protect this neighborhood." I laid it all out, the blockade, the threats, the wasted minutes that nearly cost Emily her life. I showed the letter, the fine, the smear flyers. My voice shook, but not from fear, from fury and purpose. Then the deputy stepped forward from the back, arms crossed. "For the record," she said loud enough for everyone to hear, "we witnessed HOA officers obstructing emergency medical care. That is not just negligence, it's criminal interference." The room gasped, board members shifting nervously. One of them asked Mustache directly, "Did you stop emergency responders?" Sweat beaded on his forehead, but he muttered, "Procedures must be followed." I cut in. Lives come before procedures. Always. And this time the applause wasn't hesitant. It was loud, neighbors standing, clapping, some even shouting their agreement. The tide had turned. The board huddled, whispered, then came back with their decision. Mustache was stripped of authority, the fines rescinded, a public apology issued, and new policies promised to ensure emergencies would never be blocked again. When I stepped out into the night air, Emily was waiting in a wheelchair, pale but smiling. "You did it," she whispered. I knelt beside her and said, "No, we did it. You gave me the strength." For the first time in weeks, the neighborhood felt quiet. Not tense, not watchful, peaceful. Now some folks say we went too far, that rules matter more than emotions, that if everyone bends the bylaws, society unravels. Others say the HOA should be dismantled altogether. Me? I just know that when a life's on the line, nothing. No bylaw, no power trip, no gate code should stand in the way of saving it. So what do you think? Was I right to stand up to the HOA, or should I have bowed to their so-called order? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is bigger than one family and one neighborhood. It's about what we value as a community. Don't forget to hit that like button if this story had you on edge, and subscribe so you don't miss the next real-life showdown. And seriously, tell me, if your HOA tried to block a medical rescue, what would you have done?